This is your host, Craig Domann of Pro Mindset Podcast. I've got a special guest on today, Anicka Newell. Anicka is a two-time Olympian. She's a pole vaulter of all things. I don't know too many sports where you have to actually run really fast and put a stick in the ground and then jump over another stick. Anicka, I want to welcome you to Pro Mindset today.
Thank you. Very nice to be here. Funny enough, that's exactly how I describe pole vaulting too, is with a stick, you jump over another stick. That's perfect.
That's it.
That's it.
One of the easiest things to say, though, one of the most difficult things in sports to do.
Absolutely.
I think of all the track events, like pole vaulting, bar none, is the most difficult event.
I would say that as well. Some other, events might disagree with me. I'm not saying the hardest in terms of the most difficult, like the 400, the 800 are difficult in terms of, mindset. Like you just got to keep going. Like it's tough. But in terms of technical, I think that pole vault's got to be the hardest event.
Oh, it's the hardest.
There's so many things to deal with in pole vault.
Out of the decathlon, I think I could do everything. Not do everything well, but I could do everything but the pole vault.
Okay.
Because I think the reality of it is anybody can run, maybe not very fast, but everybody can run, everybody can throw something. But to actually propel your body over a bar is crazy. Okay, so I want to give a little background, and then I'm going to ask for your story because nobody knows your story like you do. You're an aspiring Canadian 24 Paris Olympian, right?
Yes, sir.
When's the qualifications for that coming up? Or have they already happened?
The qualification period is still open. It'll end, I believe, 11th is when it closes officially. But I have the Olympic trials coming up on June 28th in Montreal, Quebec.
Okay. So you've been to two Olympics. You just picked up, as I understand, pole vaulting at the age of 16 after being a gymnast. So you like flying through the air. But let's talk about, and how many times have you cleared 15 feet in pole vaulting?
This year in total 6, which is huge for me because I think besides that, my all-time list maybe caps it out at 5 besides this year. So I'm having a pretty big year in 2024 alone. So
okay, well, let's make 2024 the best one ever. I looked it up last night. You're currently ranked the 28th pole vaulter in the world at the moment. Is that true?
I believe so. I mean, if you looked it up, I'm sure I have.
Look it up. Well, it said your name for number 28.
That's not high enough.
So here's what I'd like to do. I would like for you to kind of share with our audience your story. What parts of your story, your backstory, the things you've overcome, what is your identity, those type of things. With no guidelines, you take it where you want.
Goodness, where to even begin? I guess like with my gymnastics when I was real little, I love flying through the air. I was always, a little monkey on the playground growing up. And I always wanted to go to the Olympics for gymnastics. That was, my thing. I even wrote it in a little journal. I ended my gymnastics with a back injury. And I guess it was kind of I hate to say written in the stars are meant to be, but ended up growing quite a bit taller than most gymnasts. So I don't think I would have ended up being an Olympic gymnast anyways. But took to pole vaulting because it was kind of the closest that I could get to that feeling of flying that I got from gymnastics. And at first, I actually thought it was pretty boring. Like, I came from doing all the flips and tricks and gymnastics to, what the hell is this that I'm having to carry and run with? And, like you said, stick in the ground, propel myself. I was like, man, this sucks. This isn't fun at all. But I did it in high school to score points for my high school team. Ended up, being fairly decent at it, probably because of my gymnastics background. And from there, I started getting some college offers. And I was like, hey, this might be the next step for me is going to college for pole vaulting, which is what I ended up doing. I attended Texas State University because of the coach, Brooklyn Dixon. I had gone to her pole vaulting camp in high school and just absolutely loved her, loved what she was about. She was such a great coach. So she was the coach at Texas State, and that's what kind of led me to going to Texas State University. Notably, like, I have been with Brooklyn for basically my entire pole vault career. So this is going to be our third Olympics together, but she really is what started me in high school. So I've been with her for 14 years now, which I think is kind of special because a lot of athletes don't stay with the same coach for that long, but we have such a special bond together. So anyways, we went through my collegiate career. It started out a little bit shaky, a little bit rough. I was, away from home the first couple of years and getting used to it all, maybe partied a little bit too much here and there. But towards the end of college is really when I was kind of like, hey, I actually want to be good at pole vaulting. Like, I'm tired of sucking. Like, I think I could actually be good at this event, and I'm starting to really like it and enjoy it. And so it was like my junior year of college when I started to really apply myself and work hard, and I started seeing. And then after senior year, I was, really just like on an upward, like going uphill fast. And my coach is like, or Brooklyn was like, have you thought about trying to make it to the Olympics? And like that thought hadn't occurred to me in college. I was like, going to the Olympics for pole vault? Like, no, that's crazy. But I was like, sure, why not? Like, let's go for it. And so that summer, after I finished college in 2016, like, we trained our asses off and worked to hit the Olympic A standard, and hit the A standard over the summer. Went to Olympic trials, placed second, made it to my first Olympics ever. That 2016 Olympics for me was my first ever international. So, like, when you say overwhelmed, I mean, I felt like, a small fish in a big pond for sure. Like, that whole experience was insane for me. And I can still remember it so vividly. I can still remember how nervous I was so vividly, but it was such a huge turning point for my career, because since then, it's like every year I felt like I was learning and growing. That was like the most immature and, small and rookie-ish I've felt in my pole vault career was that 20 Olympics. And from there, I just feel like I've taken off and I've grown so much. And every year, like, I've gotten better, I've gotten stronger, I've gained more knowledge. Just besides all of the injuries sprinkled in here and there that I deal with, it's truly, this event has been a blessing for me. And since then, I've competed at some insane competitions, including, the 2020 Olympics. Now, preparing for my third and final Olympics. I can say for a fact that, like, I'll be not going to another Olympics after this. We gonna stop.
We are around two months out from the Olympics.
23 days.
23 days.
73.
73.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you doing differently in 2024 to prepare for success and to do your best in 2024 in Paris than you did in 2016? Because you didn't know.
Yes.
And in 2020, what's different?
Things change every year. And to be completely honest, every year is kind of an experiment to see what things work and what things don't work. And that's like in all aspects, in terms of my mentality, like how I stay, like focused and zoned in and not start burning out and stuff like that. And then experimenting, like, with my training, like, how do we get stronger? How do we get faster? But how do we not get injured? Everything every year is an experiment. And this year is no different for me. I'm taking the lessons that I've learned from previous years and taking, like, some of the pieces of, hey, this works for me, this doesn't, and then start to, like, mesh them all together. And that's why I feel the strongest this year, is because I have the most knowledge that I have going into this Olympics. Like, I've got this many years of experimentation, and I'm putting it all together in this year. So one of the big things for me that we know is, in order for me to stay calm and focused and not feel like I'm burning out, is I really have to have fun. Like, that is my primary goal at practice, at competitions, is like, if I'm not smiling, if I'm not enjoying it, then it's just not right. It's not working for me. That is not how I train. And don't get me wrong, like, we call it focused fun because we enjoy every part of what we're doing, but it's always with a focus too. So it's not just like goofing off, like bullshitting, anything like that. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. But so like I genuinely have to love what I'm doing day in and day out. And I can honestly say like this year that has been so big for me, and I love waking up, getting ready for training. Like Monday is my favorite day of the week because it's like, okay, back to training. I got Sunday off. Like what the heck do I do on Sunday other than like rest? Like that's boring. Like I'm ready to go to practice. I get excited to go to practice and really like have fun with what I'm doing.
Anicka, I'm going to bounce around on you, but I would love to do like a mini session with you on what I do with my athletes to help them perform their best in their biggest moments. But before we do that, what is the height you've jumped? You've achieved more than 15 feet 11 times.
Yes.
6 times in 2024. The person that right now holds the highest mark for any woman in the world is like 16.2, something like that.
16.5.
6'5". Okay. So what is the height? And I'm not very good at meters and conversion and all that stuff, but in feet and inches, what is the height that if they put that up and that was the opening height, you would just say, no, I'm done. What's that? They typically, what do they start at, 11 or 12? Where do they start?
They usually start around 14 feet for us.
Okay. So you start at 14, but they decide they're going to start at this height. You would just say, I'm done. What height is that?
Like I'm done as in I would count myself out?
No, you wouldn't even go. You would just like, you was like, I'm not even going to try.
No, I'm trying. I don't care if they put it the men's world record. I'm trying that mother effer. Like,
okay. All right. That's what I wanted to know.
Going for it. Hey,
okay. So you don't have a quit. There's no quit in you.
No.
So if they start at 17 feet, they start at 17 feet, you're still going to give it a good try.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I got 11 poles in my bag. I'm going to grab the biggest effing one and just say balls to the wall. We going. Send it.
Okay. All right. So we have no limits. You just described no limits.
Yeah. Limitless.
Okay. So what's keeping you from jumping 16?
Forward. Well, a lot of things right now. Mainly, I would say technical things. We're working on certain aspects of the vault that haven't quite clicked for me yet. And I'm a very studious person. Like I watch a lot of video reviews of other vaulters and like what they're doing right. But the problem with pole vault that is not like gymnastics is there's so many different ways to achieve, this height. And there's not a perfect pole vault. So you can study all you want, but at the end of the day, it's got to be like what clicks in your head and like what works for your body. And everyone, this is part of what's so difficult. Everyone is on different poles with different grips, with different steps, with different bodies. So it's like figuring out like what works for me in my vault. And right now, like I said, we're working on some very technical aspects of the vault. And I can feel the potential energy like in a vault that's like, oh, I was right there to connecting and like hitting it. But we're just like a little bit off with some of those things. So I would say technical the most. And then aside from that, I would say maybe mental with some of the fear aspects of pole vault, but I have come such a long way with that this year. And I feel so much more confident in attacking some of the things that used to scare with pole vault.
Anicka, true or false? Have you cleared 15 feet in one of those 11 jumps? So let's just talk about 4. Okay. And one of the 6 jumps you had this year where you had less than perfection in your technical.
Good Lord. I'll say all of them. All of them were less than perfect.
Okay. Hang on. So you just described to me that technical's holding you back, that you've got to watch more film and you got to be perfect in your technical aspects, whether it's there's a multitude of techniques in a pole vault. I'm sure, it only lasts like 2 seconds or 3 seconds, but there's probably like 20 things that you have to do right.
Yeah, at least.
Maybe more. And I've never tried it. I wasn't athletic enough to do it. I would have broke the pole. Okay. But you also just described that technical isn't it, because you have cleared your all-time personal best without being complete.
Yes.
Are you lying to me? Or are you telling me the truth? You got to be on one side of the fence or the other.
I love how you're poking holes in my logic here. But my thing is, and this is what I tell the kids that I coach too, is you never give up on a jump. If something feels wrong in the jump, you still keep going for it. So on all 6 of those 15-foot jumps this year, there's things that like felt wrong in the jump, but I was still standing there. I was still going for it. And somehow, by the grace of God, like my ass ended up over the bar. And I get surprised. Every time I turn and I'm like, oh my God, I'm over it. Or I crash into it and I'm like, shoot. But in terms of, you're talking 15 foot to 16 foot. In terms of making that leap, I know for a fact that I can jump 16 feet. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Right.
But to make that foot jump, there are certain technical aspects of the jump that I just know I need to do better. Perfect? No. Like I said, there's no perfect jump. But do better and learn how to, work with the pole versus work against the pole, and just like little balancing acts here and there. Like those are the technical pieces that I feel like are kind of missing from my puzzle right now.
Okay. I'm not trying to poke the bear. I'm not trying to agitate you. I'm challenging you.
Hey, challenge away.
Okay. So not even the 11, 15 footers. Of all your jumps you've ever done in your career, have you ever anticipated or realized how you might have jumped because of how much you cleared the bar? So let's say it was 14:10 and you cleared it by 1.5 feet.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Gosh, yes.
Okay, so now what is your potential based upon that gap between the bar and how much you cleared it? What do you think in your mind you could clear based upon that? Not something you've never done, something you've already done imperfectly with not the best technique. And it wasn't even 16 feet, but have you ever cleared 16 feet?
No, I have not. I have not cleared 16 feet.
No. Have you cleared 16 feet?
Oh,
even though the bar wasn't 16 feet.
Yes. We've looked at some jumps and been like, that is a 490 jump. Easily. A 490, 16 feet. But yeah, I've definitely looked at some jumps. I'm like, that's a damn good jump. And that same exact jump, had the bar been up at 16, would have had a fair shot at it.
Okay, so you have cleared 4.9 meters, which converts to 16 feet before. You've done it before.
In theory.
Just the bar wasn't at 16 feet, but you cleared 16 feet.
In theory, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, I'm a lawyer. I'm trying to get you to stipulate to the fact that you have cleared 16 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many times before today did you believe you were 16? You had done 16 feet before?
How many times before this year?
No, before today, that you thought you were 16 foot. You had done 16 feet. You just didn't get credit for it because they didn't move the bar high enough.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got a good self-belief system, and I feel, like I said, to my core, I'm a 16-foot vaulter. I'm a 16-foot vaulter. It just doesn't show on paper right now. But
okay, that's good.
I have no doubt in my mind that by the end of this year I could clear 16 foot, and people will be like, well, where the hell did that come from? And to me, I'd be like, well, it was there. You just slept on me. You didn't see it, but I did.
Okay, so bear with me for a minute. I'm going to share with you Pro Mindset.
Okay.
Pro Mindset, in its simplest form, your performance reflects your story. And you have a backstory and you have your story. Your story is really your identity. And it's how you frame what's happened to you, what you've done, what you didn't do, your disappointments, your failures, your rejections, what other people have said about you, what other people have done to you. All that stuff's with you. It's part of your story.
Right.
And when people have a heavy story, they actually have, when you train for speed, you have to be a sprinter. You're a pole vaulter, but you're also a sprinter. And if you don't have wheels, you're not going to be a pole vaulter. So I know part of your regimen is working on speed. Fair?
Yes.
Do you ever use a parachute when you work on speed?
I've never used a parachute.
Okay. Have you used a parachute in an event with all the junk of the stuff that's happened to you, or what you were hoping to happen that didn't happen, or the weather, the wind, or whatever it might have been? and you effectively have a parachute on when you're running down the track to jump.
Is this like a metaphorical parachute?
Yes. Yes. Yes, it's a mental parachute full of your gunk.
Yeah, I mean, I can obviously relate to that. Like, you have certain, competitions where it's either like you have had something happen that's affecting your mental, or like you said, the weather for us is such a big thing. So if I go into a competition already knowing like, oh, it's cold outside and the wind is here, like, yeah, I mean, for sure I could use that like as a parachute that's going to hold me back. But I feel like that's a challenge to battle through and to kind of force yourself to look at a different perspective and, take that parachute off. Like, you're really only putting it on yourself.
You are putting it on yourself. And there are a lot of times when, especially Olympic athletes compete, it's not an issue of ability.
Mm-hmm.
You just shared with me 5 minutes ago that you have cleared 16 feet, but it's not, the bar wasn't at 16 feet.
Right.
So the only thing holding you back, and this is where pro mindset comes in, the only thing holding you back is you.
I would have to agree with that statement. Yes.
Okay. So you've got your story, and if you work on your story, you refine your story, you can run light.
Yeah.
You probably have those jumps where you feel heavy, and there's other ones where you feel light. Well, you want to feel light when you're trying to clear 16.5 or whatever you got to do to win the gold medal. You got to be light.
Yes.
You got to feel light. Well, how do you feel light? Make sure you rewrite your story by reframing your past so that you don't have anything holding you back.
My dad refers to it as breaking the chains.
Breaking the chains that are holding you down. The second part of pro mindset, there's 3 parts, is your standards. It's your process. It's how you, it's your visualization. If you can't see yourself doing it, I promise you can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't do it. So, and your standards have to be higher than your coaches.
Yes.
Your standards have to be higher than your competitors. You're not comparing yourself to your competitors because your standards higher.
Yeah.
What you're willing to do for the next 73 days to put yourself in position to be on the podium has got to be higher than everybody else's standards for the next 73 days.
Yes.
Or not. It doesn't have to be. But if it is, watch out. And then the third part is your stage.
Your stage.
Your stage.
Okay.
Your stage is going to be in the Olympic trials in Montreal.
Yes.
Your stage is going to be in Paris. Your stage is practicing tomorrow. That's a stage. There may be only one person in the stands being your coach, but it's still a stage. There's 2 things that are very critical when you're on stage. Number 1 is to be fully present. So you have an amazing mind it's like a computer that is using every microsecond of every jump. As you're running down the track, before you plant the pole, you're thinking about, yeah, this is good. This is feeling good. I'm going fast, or I need to speed it up, or whatever you're thinking. And then when you plant and you take off, you're having thoughts.
Yes.
Like, hey, maybe I'm 2 of this and not enough of that. And then when you're pushing up, you're having more thoughts. Like, hey, my ankle's not good, or whatever it is. And you're thinking your way all the way through the jump. And my challenge to you tomorrow is we go through a couple jumps with no thoughts. No thoughts.
Easy.
Except, I got this. Don't analyze. You got video. Somebody's taping it. You can watch it 100 times afterwards and go, oh, that's what happened.
Yeah.
But during the competition, during the moment, you're not thinking about what could happen. You're not thinking about the recognition you're going to get. When you're on the podium, you're not thinking about the embarrassment you're going to get if your pole slips or breaks or whatever it might be. None of those thoughts get to come in. And so the question is, how do you do that? And the way you do it is you create a performance bubble. And in that performance bubble, and I would highly recommend you make a performance bubble today after the show, where everything that serves you gets to come in. Everything that doesn't. And very metaphorically, it's very similar to an egg.
Yeah.
Inside an egg is everything that you need to create life if it's nurtured properly. But if the shell cracks, you're not going to get life.
Right.
You have to create anchors and boundaries. The boundaries separate what's for you from what's not. Here's what's for you: free confidence in confidence in all the work you've put in the last 14 years. Belief in who you are and why God created you, with the body you got, the mind you have, the ambition you have, the motivation you have, the visions you have to do what you're doing that most of your friends are not doing.
Mm-hmm.
And your friends that you had in high school that pole vaulted quit long time ago. The women that you competed against in college are moms and attorneys and bankers and they do stuff.
Yeah.
There isn't very many people doing what you're doing. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. So inside that performance bubble is the oxygen of 100% belief in who you are and why you're here and the mission you're on for the next 73 days until you get to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be so about what goes in and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go work out, you have that performance bubble and you've got a handful of things that get to come in. I love myself. I was born for this purpose. I'm big enough for this moment. Visualize yourself being in Paris or being in Montreal tomorrow. You're not in Texas, wherever you're training. You're in Montreal. You're already there. And all that stuff, the injuries, the naysayers, something your coach might have said sideways to you, something your parents may have said sideways to you, your life partner may have said. Everybody the people that hurt us the most are the people that love us the most.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And all those things, you got to forgive all those people that are in your inner circle for whatever they did, said, or didn't do, or didn't say, and not put that in the parachute that you don't want anything in your parachute when you're running down the track.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Give me some thoughts or feedback.
Well, I can pretty much resonate with everything that you said. And one thing that you, like one word specifically, like intentional. We use that word a lot in practices, whether that's intentional with what technical stuff we're working on or intentional with, like you said, what I'm letting into my practice and taking away from it. Or, like you said, putting in my bubble, like what I intentionally allow to come into my bubble versus what I keep on the outside of it. So yeah, I can really relate to pretty much everything that you had to say, and I agree with it.
And your visualization, making a movie with you being successful, whatever height you want to jump. You being successful and getting the color of the medal that you want. Okay. Most people that go to the Olympics have no goal of winning the gold medal. Doesn't matter the sport. They're not after a gold medal. Yeah, family and friends and the media, like maybe she's got a chance or he's got a chance. That athlete has no plans to win the medal.
Yeah.
They haven't. Their standard is not in alignment with winning that medal. Their belief in themselves is not on par to win that medal. Everything is not synced up.
Yeah.
So my challenge for you is to go on a 73-day plan to align yourself with the highest possible result, which is gold medal in your sport.
Gold. And you said whatever color medal. I'm like, the only color I see is gold. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, you should. That's where it should be. It should be.
Yeah.
So I would love to send you something after this. I mean, I don't really do this with people, but I would love to send you a performance bubble worksheet so you can.
I would like that. I would love that.
Yeah. So So what's the biggest adversity that you've overcome in your athletic world?
Oh my gosh. I mean, a few come to mind, but the biggest one for me is the fears that I have around some of the things that we do in pole vault, specifically like some of the poles that I get on, like that we go, bigger the pole, the higher you can jump. But it can be very scary to get on some of those bigger poles with the fear in mind that like you might not make it into the mats, you might get spit back out. And then same thing with like raising my grip up higher on a pole, it can either be a very successful jump and you get what you put out of it, which is the higher grip, or you can get spit back out if you aren't fully confident coming down the runway and knowing what you're about to do. So fear for me, probably the biggest adversity that I have to overcome.
How do you now deal with fear before a competition?
The same way that I do before practice. When fears start creeping in for me, the first thing I do is acknowledge them. The second thing that I do is laugh at them. And the third thing I do is just like make the conscious decision that the hay is in the barn. So I'm afraid of you, but that's not going to stop me.
How much do pole vaulters typically operate out of fear?
A lot. I mean, it's a very dangerous sport. And I know that there's a lot of pole vaulters who struggle with very similar, and for some, it can be, pretty crippling to their pole vaulting, and that can really hinder them, still either continuing in pole vault or continuing to raise the bar. They end up having to stop. What happens is a lot of pole vaulters go through run-through phases where they're just not taking it up off the ground because they're just too paralyzed thinking of what could happen if they do it wrong, from the fear that they have because of what they're trying to do. So like I said, it can just be very, very crippling to a pole vaulter.
Okay, so when you've been airborne and your feet are way above your hands and you realize it's not a good place to be, do you have confidence that you can respond to protect yourself?
I do. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. I've definitely had some in the air moments where it ends up being funny for me. I'm in the air and it's oh shit. I'm not over the mat, but I just kind of laugh and I feel like my reflexes are really good, especially from gymnastics. So I know how to fall. And that's kind of what I have to tell myself. If I am scared of something, what's the worst that's going to happen? If you're going to get spit out, you'll roll out of it. You will be okay. Do it in style, So
do you guys ever practice falling?
No, definitely not. No.
I would think that if you practice falling, not necessarily out of a pole vaulting situation, just practice falling so that your brain goes, I know how to, it alleviates fear. Because if you take an aggressive and you do get stalled in the air and you're not over the mat and you may fall, onto the ground, you know how to fall.
You would think, and I do, I like the idea, we're taught that in gymnastics world, how to fall, how to not put your hands back on the mat. The problem with pole vault is you can't just climb up a pole real quick and then, let them go and then figure out how to fall. But also it's it still is so dangerous. We want to do it the least amount possible because.
No, I understand. I'm not trying to get you injured.
No,
I know, if I was a pole vaulting coach, I would set up some very strong, some safe mats, and I would have a platform, and I'd have people practice falling. Because
I feel we fall so much in pole vault as it is. You know, do? It's every jump you take, you go over the bar, the benji, and you're falling. And
yeah, but I thought you were a gymnast. Yeah, I thought you landed on your feet and put your hands up.
Oh no,
like a gymnast. It's like a vault in gymnastics.
No, we don't land on our feet. Unfortunately, if you did that, you again the falling thing is you have the potential if you land, you roll unable because the pole vault mats are not like gymnastics mats; they're quite a bit softer. So if you land on your feet, I've seen somebody's leg actually snap in half, their tibia fibula.
Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay.
So we do
Bad
teach
idea.
how to not land on their feet. So we do, in a sense, teach them how to fall as long as they perform the vault correctly. But if they don't, then it's kind of they're in the air and we're just telling them to hold on for dear lives.
I got you. Okay. So I want to go back to this fear thing because it sounds like to me, and I might be misreading this, but if you clear a height on the first jump and fear sets in, maybe the next couple you realize, hey, I'm having a good day, so I'll just clear it on my last jump. So do you get 5 jumps or 3 jumps typically?
3 at each
Great.
bar.
So my first two don't really matter. I just got to make it on my third one because I don't, you know what I mean? And it's like your brain is playing wacko games with yourself because of fear.
We do not like third attempts in pole vault.
No, do or die. So
we try and attack every attempt the same for sure, because like I do not want it coming down to my third attempt. Like that's a lot of pressure, which I mean you got to handle it, but like I would much prefer to just like, hey, let's really go for this on the first attempt.
no. But when people run through,
No.
that's what they're effectively doing.
Yeah, for people to do that, yes, I can absolutely see that. I mean, it's like a crutch, right? Like, well, I've still got 2 more attempts. Like, I still have those opportunities, but like, you just wasted one opportunity that could have been a make on
And
the
you could
first
be waiting
attempt.
for the.
And you wasted energy. Like, it's just a lot of like wastefulness. So you're talking about being mindful, being intentional. Like, I don't want to waste that energy coming down the runway. Now I'm a little bit more tired for my second attempt. Like, I don't want that.
Okay, Anicka, you step on the track, you've got the pole in your hand, you're getting your starting stance.
Mm-hmm.
What is going through your mind?
Usually the cues that I have either written down on my hand or that my coach has given me for the jump. No more than 2 cues max for a jump. And sometimes they're like very specific and something technical on the jump. And sometimes they're like really kind of funny. Like I do like karate moves in my jump sometimes, and that helps me. So then I'll think like, so I'll write down like "Hiya" on my hand, and that's the cue. And I know what that cue, like what it means to me in my jump, but it simplifies it. It makes it easy, makes it fun, and then I'm not like overwhelming myself with the entirety of of the jump and of the bar and everything else that I have going on.
How many times are the cues technical? Half the time?
I say half the time. Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever watch, and maybe you do this, but do you ever watch like bat players take a deep breath before a free throw?
Or a free throw? Yes. Yeah.
Do you take
absolutely.
a deep breath before you take off?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
because one of my biggest problems is I just like take off like a freaking rocket. So I have to make sure that I'm like in a balanced, relaxed, powerful state. And I can't do that with just like holding my breath and going right away.
Okay. Now I'm just doing my due diligence here, trying to figure out what you do, so I can give you some ideas on just some ideas. You never know.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, like there's so many different sports and there's so many different ways to cope with anxiety and stress and like make sure that you perform at your optimal level. Like I love learning from other athletes and what they do and experimenting and trying like, does that work for me? And sometimes it does, and then it's like, awesome, good, we can keep rolling with this. And if it doesn't, then we try something new.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a scenario and how it relates to fear.
Mm.
So if you do basically a checklist of your story, what could be holding you back, thoughts that you might have that you don't deserve to win, you didn't practice as hard this year as you did last year or the year before, whatever it might be, if you can eliminate all negative thoughts, and then when you project yourself to the future, you can actually see yourself on the podium getting the gold medal around your neck. There are other women that there's 27 of them right now across the world that are higher than you. You ain't feeling sorry for them. You're not like, hey, you know what? Maybe they should win. You're like, no, it's my time to shine.
Yeah.
Okay. You've put in the work. So your standards, your process, all that stuff, you put in the time. You visualized yourself doing it so that when you actually show up for the event, you create a performance bubble, not just about the one jump. You create a performance bubble once you get off the airplane in Montreal.
Yeah.
What distractions are not going to distract you? What people you're not going to respond to these people. When you see certain women that are competitors, you might have a cordial relationship. You may have a cold relationship. Everybody knows they're only probably taking 3 to the Olympics. There's probably, 10 or 20 there. Not everybody gets to go.
Right.
So if they don't think you're going to win, they'll be cool to you. But if they think you're a threat, they're not going to talk to you.
Right.
So you create a bubble that you don't even notice it.
Yes.
And more importantly, you don't even care. And then on the day of the meet, you show up and you do have a backpack and it's full of whatever you need, your nutrition, your snacks, whatever, you've got your bag of poles and you're trying to decide sometimes between pole A and pole B. Have that all figured out ahead of time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to make any decisions. And then really tap into not what you do, tap into who you are. We're human beings. We're not human doers. It just so happens that you are a doer of pole vaulting.
Right.
But that doesn't define you. And you have to remember that at the cusp of the competition. And then when you go compete and your name's called and it's your first jump and it's 14 or whatever it is, if you can embody what's in your performance bubble, if you can be fully present in the competition without hyper-analyzing everything you're doing and thinking and your coach is saying and thinking and everybody else too, maybe something happens before your attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody did something. Maybe they got injured. Maybe they weren't expected to clear it and they cleared it by a mile and the fans are going crazy. Now it's your turn and you're like allowing that to influence you.
Right.
So I don't care what happens to anybody or anyone, anywhere, you're in that bubble and you've protected yourself from all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to have an escape hatch in that bubble because you're going to have a thought that you don't want to have. And you got to go, hey, nice try, not now. And you send it out so that you can be fully present, being the best you can be, because you're really not competing against the other women.
Right.
You're really competing against how close can you get to your best. And when you reframe that, where it's like, Anicka, if you're capable of 16, can you get your best? 16 or 16.2 or 16.5, whatever it might be. And what happens to your brain, because it happens to every athlete, is once you get farther along in the competition, you start saying, what are the possibilities for me to make it? What has to happen for me to make it? I need her to miss and me to make.
Right.
Oh, that's in your parachute. So now you get up in the number on the height further along in the competition, and it's getting heavier because you have more to think about. And maybe the top person in Canada scratches because of something, most likely an injury, and everybody's excited because now we got a chance. So there's 10 more women think, oh, now I can make it now.
Right.
No. Your thoughts need to be on, I'm going to be my best. I'm going to perform consistent with my training. Right. I'm going to perform consistent with my vision, my movie I made, the visualization I did. That's a whole different approach to the event than trying to get on the podium or trying to make the Olympic team or trying to beat out this girl or trying to make this one attempt because if I make it, I'm in. If I don't, I'm not. What if you just focus on who you are and see how easy it gets?
Yeah.
Am I sounding like a crazy man or is this making any sense?
No, that's not it. I can actually identify a couple of times when I have felt very much within my bubble and haven't had anything affect me whatsoever. And I definitely know the times where I have had, external factors affect me during a competition. So no, I completely agree with what you're saying. And we oftentimes, my coach will remind me like, hey, obviously we want to get to this bar, but there's 3 other bars before that bar. So don't sleep on those bars. Like it's one jump at a time. And the biggest thing for me, like I said, is the love I have for the sport. So when I take a jump, I love the feeling of pole vault. So I have to remind myself before every jump, before every bar, like, enjoy this jump. Not where this jump might get you, like enjoy this jump.
You should write on your hand, love.
Okay.
Because you're not going to be jumping in 2025. That was your own declaration.
Well, I might still jump in 2025, but I'm saying I won't go for the 2028 LA Olympics.
Okay. So Okay, that's fair. That's cool. But my point is, love the opportunity that you have now
Yeah.
because you don't want to do it forever.
Yeah.
Even though I saw the woman that's the number one ranked in the world is around 33,
Mm-hmm.
and you would be 34 in the next Olympics. So just putting that out there. Might have life plans and things, other things you want to do that you need pole vaulting to be in your rearview mirror.
Listen, Craig, you're telling people how old I am right now. We gotta just.
No, I'm telling you how old you are. I just, I didn't name a number, did I? I did, didn't I? I did. I'm so sorry. You're somewhere between 20 and 40. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 and 30.
All right. Okay. So let's go back to, can you tell them what I'm about today is how can you be your best when you get that rep?
Yeah.
When you get that attempt, how can you just kill it? And you can clear, they can have the bar at 14 and you jump 16.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they move it up to 14.6 or whatever increments they go. And you keep jumping 16 every time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to 16 and it's like, no big deal. I've been doing 16 all day. Do you change your pole during the course of the competition?
Yes. Yes. We use a lot of different poles. I currently have 11 poles in my pole bag, and I probably use 9 of them during a competition.
Do you love them all the same?
I love them all the same.
For real?
Yeah. Well, okay. No. That's actually a lie. I do love them all, but I definitely have 2 poles in my mind right now that I'm like, I love a little bit more. Or whatever.
Absolutely.
They just like feel like they're like my friends. And then the rest of them is like, we work together. We're homies, but like these are my friends.
Okay. Those 2, are they your friends because they are more consistent? You perform more consistently, or you've had your best jumps with those?
I perform more consistently on them.
Okay. So they're your safe poles because
they're my safe poles. And part of the reason is I use them during practice as well. So I'm more familiar with them than I am. They're part of the smaller size on my series. The bigger poles we often don't jump on in practice. You don't have the adrenaline. You don't have the same amount of energy coming down the runway. And so we don't get to those poles in practice. So I'm just not as familiar with those poles. I'm much more consistent with the poles that I practice on.
Okay, so you telling me that typically the typical scenario would be if you go to the Olympics, is Olympic trials your next competition?
No, I've got a competition this Friday, actually.
Okay, so you have a competition this week,
Mm-hmm.
then you have the Olympic trials, and then you have the Olympics, assuming you make the Olympic team.
Yes.
So you're going to have a few poles in your pole bag that you're only going to use 3 times.
I've got I think 5 competitions in between now and Olympic trials.
Okay. All right. So you got 5.
I've got a few opportunities.
Okay. Well, here's where I'm going. Where I'm going is I want to see some of those unfamiliar poles that you still love come out of your bag and use them in practice.
Yes.
And simulate a meet. Not every day. You can't do it every day. That's not realistic. But every couple of weeks or, like in some, you set it up to where this is like, today is the audition for the 2024 Olympics.
Yeah.
You have a sign up in your facility, or if you do outdoor?
We use an indoor facility, actually.
Okay. So you got Paris in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
we have Paris in there and Olympic banner. We got it all.
Okay. So you've already got it all set up.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to have the intention that this is the real deal. The other competitors forgot to show up, but you still get to jump.
Yeah.
And you need to time it out sequentially, like there's how many women are in the competition at once. So if they got multiple prelims, if there's 6 ladies or whatever it is, you need to time it out so that you're going the same time zone. You have to the adrenaline
And then
to be able to use the pole that you really need to clear that height.
yes. No, we absolutely have practices like that. I just had one yesterday. actually, where I got on, I'm fresh off of an injury. And so we've just kind of been taking it one step at a time. And yesterday we had the intention, like, hey, we've got competitions coming up. The intention behind today is to get on the higher end of my competition series so that when I'm at these next coming meets, like, I am more familiar with the poles and I'm ready for it. And we nailed it yesterday, to be honest. So
That was awesome. You also coach, do you coach people on pole vaulting?
I do. I coach a lot of college kids, some masters athletes, some elites. Yeah, I got the whole spectrum.
What has been the biggest enlightenment for you being a coach that's transferred over into being a competitor?
For me, it's like seeing the kids' reactions when they learn something or when they figure something out, when you just like see that light bulb moment go off for them. And knowing that like you affected that, like you were able to, build them up to that point and get them there. But B, just seeing like it's such a genuine like thrill, And so I don't get those as often. I don't get those light bulb moments. We're constantly being so picky with like all the critical, like the little things and like trying to just like work through them and grind through them, that like I don't get those like ping, oh my gosh. So like seeing my kids get those moments and have those like raw reactions to what they're doing, it always reminds me like, you know what? It's like it's the small wins that make the biggest differences. And so like we take the time and practices to those small wins and like achievements that we get, like no matter how small, like truly small they are, and really like feel the excitement from them, just like a kid would, or just like a brand new pole vaulter would.
Well, one of the things that you've expressed today is that you're your best when you are a kid.
Yeah, yeah,
So one
absolutely.
of the things I tell people to do and recommend that they do is they take their 7-year-old energy into their
Mhm.
performance level.
Yeah,
Because when you're 7, you're not worried about
not worried.
results, evaluations, all these details, all this technical stuff. No, you're just out there trying to do it. See if you can do it.
Yeah,
You're trying to have fun. Hey,
yeah.
I cleared this. Maybe I could clear this. And maybe at 7, people aren't pole vaulting yet. So if you
We
translate
have
that,
a 7-year-old. We do have a 7-year-old.
you do. Wow.
Yes.
But like, let's say for normal people, you guys are not normal. Okay.
Mhm.
In other sports, it translates because when you're 7, you're just trying to have fun. You're trying to win.
Yeah.
You're trying to win the ball. You're trying to score. Those types of things. Whereas once you get in college, it becomes a job. And then when
Mhm.
you're doing this Olympic thing, it's a job.
Yes.
And no matter how excited and how much you love pole vaulting, you've made an obligation to it. You've made a commitment to it. You will get a phone call or a text tomorrow morning if you don't show up for practice. It's your job. So
Yeah.
how can you reset your mind so it's not a job?
Yeah. Yes. 1000%. I will say for myself personally, I actually train solo. I train completely on my own, and the only days that I have an actual coach is the 2 pole vault days out of the week. So the other days, technically, I would not get a phone call or a text or anything like that. There's nobody holding me accountable but myself. So yes, it is my job, and at the end of the day, like all the results will come from what I put into it. But that like I love this job. So, I wake up early in the morning without somebody telling me to do so because I'm excited to get to practice, not because I have to get to practice.
So you do like sprinting, weightlifting, those types of athletic training 3 days a week or so, and then you pole vault twice a week.
Yes.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, what was your latest injury?
Some Achilles tendonitis as well as like a small soleus strain.
Gotcha. I'm going to open this up to you. Let's say there's a group of kids, boys and girls that are listening to this that are thinking about maybe trying pole vaulting. Give your best PSA on why they should try.
Well, first of all, I mean, like we say to anybody that walks in our gym, anyone can pole vault. And I know we talked about earlier, it's like anybody can run, but not anybody can pole vault. Not anybody can pole vault well unless they put the work into it. But anybody truly can pole vault. I could teach anybody to pole vault. I could teach you how to pole vault. And truly, when you do it right, when you do it well, when you put the work in, when you start, hitting PR after PR, you hit one bar, and then guess what? There's always going to be another bar. That is what makes it so exciting. It never stops. You never peak. You never hit like a stopping point where like this is as high as it goes. Like no, it always goes higher. And I think that's like something to look at in life too. Like you don't ever want to just peak at one point. You always want to be aiming to go higher. And like who doesn't like to friggin' fly? Like that is so much fun. When you come over the bar, you turn, you've cleared it, and you'll see pictures of me like you celebrate on the fall down. That is one of the all-time best feelings in the entire world. So for anybody that wants to pole vault, do it, because it truly is like one of the most rewarding sports.
Awesome. Anicka, I want to thank you for being on Pro Mindset today. Where can people check you out on social media, pick up some followers, and just kind of follow your journey to the Olympics in 73 days?
Yes. Well, follow me on Instagram for sure. FlyGirl93. That is my brand. I also have some Fly Girl merch. The link is in my bio. And then I occasionally post TikToks, FlyGirl_93.
What's the 93? I know what it is.
People, but
I'm messing with you. You're telling everybody.
I'm telling everybody, I guess.
Yeah,
I know.
you're telling everybody.
A number was taken when I first.
Come on, you got mad at me for letting the cat out of the bag. It's in all your social media banners.
I know. You're absolutely right.
Okay. Hey, I want to thank you for being on. Hang tight here for a second. Hey, it's Craig Domann, the host of Pro Mindset Podcast. I want to thank you for listening or watching today's show. And you can catch us every week on the normal social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the listening podcast platforms. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And more importantly, I hope you gained a pro mindset insight. Please be sure to rate and review Pro Mindset Podcast. And I look forward to catching up with you on our next show.